You are joining Making a Difference with Melissa Clark, a show that shares the compelling stories and voices of well-known and everyday people who change the world in big and small ways. Enjoy our guests, call in, or just listen to be inspired. For this show was made with you in mind. Please join us every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with our special guests. And you can listen to our recast at www.melissaclarkshow.com.
Randy Spelling, thank you so much for joining us on Making a Difference. I really wanted you on this program because of all the motivation you provide on your social media. And what I like even more about you is that you give tough love. And we were just speaking about that before we were recording, which I admire. We don't have that much in this world. Everybody wants to sugarcoat everything. And, you come out and you speak to your audience and you say, hey, listen, I'm going to help you, but you have to do the work. And I like that very much about you, Randy. And, you call yourself an intuitive, which is a perfect title for you in doing my research on you. Do you know what the difference is between a healer and people of intuition?
I think my definition, at least, is anyone who is using their intuition in working with other people, if it comes from a pure place, they're a form of a healer, right? And I don't want to get too caught up in titles or labels, but it's really, if you're drawn to do work in terms of making a difference, in terms of helping other people, guiding other people, empowering other people, motivating other people, inspiring other people, you're a healer of some kind. Right? Not just in the village as the medicine man or woman who is healing. There's so many forms these days that it's, the healing can take so many forms.
Well, you're a person of service, which is wonderful. At what age did you know that you had this ability to help others and you wanted to help others?
Oh, goodness. What age? I always wanted to help people. So I always wanted everyone in my family to be happy or everyone around me. I would write poems and gifts. And it was always extremely heart-centered. But in terms of knowing that I wanted to do this, I remember doing I guess you could call it a channeled session, a spiritual session with someone when I was 18 years old. And I remember the feeling I had being in the energy of someone who has made a huge difference in my life. Someone who you can, those people where you're around them and you can feel their energy.
Yes, sir.
Right? There's a charge, there's a vibration, there's a frequency. When I was in the energy of that frequency, and I remember how I felt, and it felt so good, and I felt home, and I was being helped. I remember thinking, and I said this, I want to do that. Maybe in another lifetime or something, but I want to have that difference. I want to master myself enough to where I can help other people. That's such a powerful thing, to not feel enough, or to have a goal that you want, something that you deeply want for yourself and you can't get, and the frustration that arises, or the suffering that we can have from experiences and emotions, to be able to guide someone back to themselves, to really heal themselves, right? As healers, we're helping people heal themselves, holding the space for them to do that. I said, I'd like to sign up for that. But at the time I was acting, and I had no idea that my life was going to take this trajectory.
We're so happy that it did. You think perhaps you needed healing for yourself at the time? You were 18?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Because
Right.
you come from a fascinating family. You grew up in this elite Hollywood world. Your beloved father, Aaron Spelling, was a famous producer for 90210, Melrose Place, Charmed. These are all the shows that I grew up with, and thank your father so much for that, because it was such a great escapism. And for the people a little bit older than us, The Love Boat, Fantasy Island, and Charlie's Angels, just to name a few.
Yes. Yes. Yep. Yeah. I
That's
mean,
You have a powerful name, Randy. You have a powerful Hollywood name. God bless.
thank you. Yeah. I mean, it was, you could say I was born into it. You could say on some level, I chose it to come into this family. And,
Yes.
um, I, I'll be honest and tell you that I didn't always own my name. I think I wanted to sometimes hide from my name, not because I was ever ashamed of the name. It was because I wanted to be relatable to people. I wanted to fit in when I was growing up. And even though I went to schools where, other people, it wasn't like I stuck out like a sore thumb, but I knew that the way that I lived and the type of lifestyle, house, all of that, that not everyone lives that way. So I think I just wanted to be relatable and approachable. And so there are a lot of times that I hid from the name and the shoes that I had to fill and what that meant and people's projections. And only really in the last, handful of years, I would say, really came to this place in myself of, I'm going to own this name. This is my family name. This is what I was born into. Not only do I love my family, but this is what I chose. Wear it proud, and be you in whatever facet that manifests. And that's it.
I believe that we do pick our parents before we come here. Yeah. What
Yeah.
was my question? Oh, my question for you was, did you lose a lot of people after Dad passed away?
Did I lose a lot of people?
Yeah.
Um, no. I think what you're asking is, once my dad died, were there a lot of people who just fell away from my life?
Yes.
No, because nothing that different changed. I did see people around him when he started to become more ill and his health was declining. I kind of saw people who were once calling a lot and around not call anymore. That was
Sure.
sad to me, like how quickly that goes away. I mean, there's a saying, right, in Hollywood, it's like you're only as good as your last project. That's sad to
Yeah.
me, but it's also to be expected. For me, nothing much really changed. Whoever was hanging around me before, when my dad was alive,
Mm.
they would be hanging around me when my dad died. But when I changed, because shortly after my father passed away is when I did a 180 in my life.
Yeah.
Um, when I did the 180, I started rethinking who I was hanging out with
Yes.
and who I was spending my time with. And I said, oh, yeah, that needs to change a little bit.
That's right. That's right. I lost both of my parents within 18 months apart. So
Ah,
I myself, I'm only Melissa Clark. I'm not a spelling, but I lost a great amount of people in my life. I don't know why.
yeah.
They didn't know what to do with me, so it is difficult, regardless if it was 2006, right? Mr. Spelling passed away in 2006.
Yeah, he did. So just a quick question. Did you find that when that happened, are you saying that people didn't know how to handle it or what to say, or it brought up their own discomfort, so they just ended up going away?
That's right. That's right. I didn't know what to
Yeah.
do.
I wish, because I see that and I hear that happening a lot.
Yeah.
And I really wish that we were educated more about death. I mean, we talk so much about birth. You see the movies, which we get so much of our social cues and programming. It's
Yeah.
like the baby's born, everyone's drinking and, handing out cigars and yay. And it's amazing. It's this magical moment. And every time someone dies, it's this, tragic, horrible moment. And of course it is, right? You're
Yeah.
losing someone that you love. but there's no education around it. There's no education of what that means, how it is, how to deal with it, how to talk to other people.
Yeah.
And even me, sometimes I get uncomfortable wanting to say the right thing and not knowing what that is. I had a friend who recently lost his mom suddenly, and I felt so clumsy. And I talk to people for a living, but I didn't know exactly what to say. And I thought, God, there really should be more training around this so we know.
Well, if I can say one thing, I think the only thing that somebody can do is listen, right? Just listen. If the person wants to sit on the phone for hours, be that friend that's going to sit and listen. Because there's really nothing to say. And you, as a coach who does this for a living, there's nothing to say when you do lose people. And it also depends on what you think of death. You know, I'm a part Buddhist, so I believe
Right.
death is just a step in the other room. My parents are right here. I feel them within me. It sucks that they're not here physically, but I feel them all the time. I feel them right now. I smell cigarettes sometimes. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I can feel them because that's how intuitive I am. I let my energies out and I do my meditation and I sit and I talk with them and they give me answers. So I think it all depends also on who you are. But you're right. I wish they should teach us in school because it's a part of life.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I really, I love that. I don't mean to, I love that behind you, that blue, the turquoise. What is that?
Oh, the screen.
What is that? That's so beautiful.
It's a screen that I found in an antique store here in Portland years ago, and it was this creamy white. And I'm in my home office right now, and
Yeah.
I said, I want a different color, that creamy white.
Beautiful.
I want something different, and yeah, it chose the
It's
blue.
magical. It's magical. I really like
you.
it. You got to sage it. Maybe sage it. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Talking about your father. Thank you very much. I like the interview that you did on Oprah's Then and Now in 2014, where you said that your life would have turned out much different if you lived then the way you live now.
Right.
Right? So this pandemic, for example, has taught us a lot about ourselves, our finances, and people lost their businesses, their families, their money. What advice would you give to someone starting over again, and what steps can they take to find their divine purpose in this life again?
So in terms of starting over again,
Yeah.
and I think it's all the same with divine purpose. They both relate to one another. I think it's really challenging to have things come at you and be the effect of that. And then, of course, emotion comes up as a result, and fear and scarcity and lack, and our own stuff comes up. And I think what's happening right now is there's all this tumult in the world because all this stuff needs to come up, both collectively and individually. We have our work to do. So I know in the spiritual community, New Age community, it's like we're ascending to the fifth dimension and we're moving in consciousness. And yes, and to evolve into a different consciousness, to go into higher states of consciousness, you have to become more transparent. You have to look at what is still holding me down. Where am I still feeling scarcity? What am I still dealing with? And how can I shift that and change that? So for someone in this pandemic who, has been affected by it, from it, is forced to start over, I would look at it as starting new, because over has a really hard connotation of now I have to start from the beginning. I have to start all over. And sometimes we need to clean the slate. Like even in relationships, right? People are married for however long.
Yeah.
And they wish they could just go back to the honeymoon phase. You can't go back. Sometimes you just have to start over and start at a new place. And so for people, it's how can you use what's here for growth? And I know that can be hard to look at it in that way, but if you could look at it as it's here, the river's flowing this way. I can argue with God. Why is the river flowing this way? Why did this happen? Why is it carrying me south when I want to go north? But the river's flowing south. So if the river's flowing south, I either can fight it until I get so tired that I just let myself go and flow down the river. I could consciously choose, let myself go. Where does the river want to take me?
Yeah.
Or I could look at how maybe I could cross the river. How do I want to float down the river? If I'm going to choose to go south, what kind of vessel am I going to be in? How am I going to float? Do I gather food and bring it with me? So for this situation, what new can come from this? What things were you looking at in your life that you were bored by or unhappy with or complaining about? We often forget that when all of a sudden then we have to start over, or business completely has to pivot. We forget that we were maybe in our businesses complaining that we were way too stressed. I work all the time. I'm not making enough money, or I don't like this. I'm just looking forward to the weekend. Well, then this is here so that maybe something can shift. So you become happier. You become something new, something different.
So nice. Thank you. It's nice to have you explain stuff because you're so calm when you do it. Love it. Let's discuss your book, Unlimiting You, Step Out of Your Past and Into Your Purpose. Was this published in 2015, Randy?
It was.
Okay. If I may just read the first part in chapter 1 titled Unlimiting Your Worth. Has there been a time, thank you so much, has there been a time in your life when you just wanted to feel special, to feel you mattered and that you were important? We all need to have this sense of value, whether it's to the world, to the people around us, or simply to ourselves. And then you go on, many people fail to recognize their worth because their sense of worth is based on feeling important to the people around them or to society at large. So we all want to feel like we matter. Let's talk about our peers and family first, and then I'd like to get into social media. Family and friends. Do you think that we feel pressured when one of our family members are succeeding and we feel stuck?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have a pop-up that just came up on my screen. Sorry, are you saying, do you think that we feel pressured when someone in our family is succeeding and we feel stuck?
Yes, and how can we understand that we're as worthy just as they are, but we may be on a different path?
So funny. I was just having this conversation with a client. We tend to compare things, but we're not comparing apples to apples. It's like all these food studies that show, well, the people who eat meat are 20% more likely to get cancer. And then there's this attachment, this correlation. People who eat meat are 20% more likely to get cancer versus people who don't. But there are all these other factors. And where are they eating the meat? Are they going to fast food 3 times a week? Do they smoke? Do they exercise? So there's so many other variables. If we look at likes, followers, success, and money, it's unfair to start out in something and look at someone who is successful and say, well, they're doing it, I'm not. Or I'm not able to do it like them. You can't compare. That person who you're looking at, who is successful, who has built up the followers, maybe they've been doing it for 5 years. Maybe they've been doing it for 10 years.
Sure.
Maybe they know people who they got into a group and it spread like wildfire. It worked for them, but their trajectory doesn't mean that that is your exact trajectory. The lessons that you need to learn along the way might be a little bit slower. So it's really unfair to compare to someone else. I would say the only way to use comparison in a really healthy way is look at, were they able to do it? If they're able to do it, I'm able to do it. That doesn't mean I'm able to do it by tomorrow.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm able to do it and, have this car and that house and that whatever, plane or sleep at that hotel. It means I'm able to do this in my own way as it comes. I might be able to get to that level of success, or I might be able to achieve that thing that I feel stuck in right now.
Yeah.
But it's going to look different because your fingerprint is different. It's a different way.
So social media, do you recommend when we are down on ourselves to turn off social media and focus with outside distractions?
Sure. If you think that will help you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the easy answer is yes, but it's more about becoming conscious. It's more about being self-aware, because you could use social media as the tool that it is. You could use it just to make connections with people. You could use it if you want some inspiration or motivation, or you want to laugh. Go to the accounts that give you inspiration, motivation, or that provide some levity. Don't just scroll unconsciously until you're so saturated that when you put it down, you've already picked up so much energy. You've made now, 19 comparisons, and you're feeling bad about yourself, and you don't even know what happened. You just put down the phone, go, I scrolled. And now you're walking into the rest of your day having that dialogue. And it's just about becoming conscious about how it makes you feel.
So another part of the book I'd like to discuss is Unlimiting Your Connection, Chapter 2. Let's talk about waking to connection. And you say in your book, this exercise can be done throughout the day, but is especially effective upon waking. Starting your day with this type of energy and connection is like setting steel beams for the framing of a house. I love that. And in other words, you are giving yourself a sturdy foundation of pure energy. So no matter what happens in your day, you can be you can be sustained by the structure you've set.
Yes.
That's genius, because it's true. How many times do we get on the phone as soon as we wake up?
So I wrote this in 2014.
Yeah.
And now it's 2021, and that is even more timely and true right now than it was in 2014. I like to feel that I have a good pulse on where people are at and what's going on, and
yeah,
the addiction to the phone is a very, very real thing. I mean, Social Dilemma, when that documentary came out, was, a real eye opener for a lot of people. Unfortunately, I think that was a moment in time, and many people reacted to it, but have still fallen back into some of the old ways. And starting your day on social media, or starting your day with rings, dings, pings, and your email inbox, it starts the day with adrenaline and cortisol.
Yes.
Right? You start the day looking at, I need to do something. I need to hop into action, versus taking a moment to just connect with yourself. To connect, we reset after sleeping. Then we have to connect again and say, okay, who am I? What do I want for today? How do I want to be of service? How can I feel purposeful? I mean, whatever it is, come back to self and connect with something more unlimited.
Sure. And I like that you challenge your readers to try this. It's 6 points. So I'm sure if you go to Randy's Instagram, he'll kind of give you tidbits here and there in his wonderful videos. But if he challenges you to try it for a week to see if you see a difference. And I'm actually going to start this tomorrow. So
okay. I want to hear.
Thank you so much. Like, I'm looking forward to it because if anything does go wrong, right? So inside, just think of it crumbling, and, you stub your toe or this or that, that you're grounded. So then you just, you do your tap. Do you tap?
I've done some of the techniques. Yeah. I mean, I think tapping is really powerful and helps so many people.
Yeah.
Affirmations and mantras can be really powerful and help many people. breathing exercises and meditation, not just maybe once a day, but little spurts throughout the day. There's so many things that are available to us right now, tools and techniques that we can use, but it's really about finding something and trying it.
Yeah.
Try it out and see if it has resonance for you. If it helps you, wonderful, keep doing it. If it doesn't, okay, you haven't found your thing yet. Great that you tried, but we have to start trying things instead of just looking at, I don't feel so good in my day, or I'm feeling more anxious, or I'm really down, or I'm stressed, and then not do anything about it. Because then in a way, we passively keep ourselves in a state of emotional suffering a little bit. And that's hard. That's a hard state to be in.
Absolute. I think it's more comfortable to be there. Do you find that people feel very comfort in feeling bad? Because
Absolutely. And
yeah,
I'm glad that you bring this up,
thank you.
because a lot of people will challenge that. Well, yeah, I mean, we know this, like, yeah, okay, I'm comfortable with feeling bad, but I don't want this. I want to be different. I want to feel different. So for those people who want it and maybe have even done something about it or tried to change, the thing is things become habitual. Things are patterns. And when we practice something enough, it becomes a habit. We get good at it. So we get good at being complacent, or we get good at emotionally suffering, or we get good at being the martyr or the victim or the one who's not successful or not good enough. Or it's a trained pattern based on experiences that we've internalized. So we have to practice something different. Like, we can't change the pattern with the pattern. We have to do something different, bring a different energy in order to shift that pattern into something new.
Sure. Thank you. And you speak a lot about being nice, and sometimes people do take advantage of those who go out of their way to make others feel comfortable. How do you differentiate niceness and enabling?
How do I differentiate niceness versus enabling?
Yeah.
Well, being nice is, I don't know, I look at it as being kind. Or at least, rather, I used to look at niceness as kindness. I kind of had those interwoven, and it's not. Being nice is really this I don't know, this adjective of, like, it's a role. I'm the nice guy, right? You're the nice girl. I'm nice. It's like we take on these roles, and I talk about this in my book as well, as we play these roles, and it's unlimiting your roles. Because if I identify as the one in the family who's the nice one, right, in my life, I'm the nice one out of my friends. I just nice. Guess what? I then am nice. So there's no room for me to be mean, right?
Sure.
It's like my Instagram persona is nice.
Yes.
I couldn't dare go out in the world and not be nice, because otherwise I wouldn't get as many likes, or people wouldn't know me. So then we play these roles that we have identified ourselves to be. And it's not true. Being kind is really, I can lead with wanting the best for people, treating people the way that I want to be treated.
Yes.
But not enabling them, right? So you could be kind and have boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is enabling comes in when you don't have boundaries, because you're allowing them to do something that they can do for themselves.
Sure.
Or you're enabling them because you're not speaking up. You're not setting a boundary so that they run into something and go, oh, wait, that's not appropriate for you, or that doesn't feel good, or that's not right. Let me go a different way, as opposed to just, coming in hot like I keep coming in.
Right. Yeah, great point. And social media allows us to put ourselves out there. With that comes a lot of responsibility. You being a public figure, not only on social media, but in your coaching, what advice would you give to someone to take responsibility for themselves and others putting messages out there that may not be positive? Because we get that a lot on social media.
Yeah, in terms of putting messages out that may not be positive.
Yes, they're just putting things out there, and they're not really being mindful of how it's going to affect their audience. Whereas you're conscious of what you're putting out there to help others. Um,
I think it's really being clear on what the goal is,
yeah,
right? What's your goal with social media? If your goal is to make people laugh, you put out content that makes people laugh. That doesn't mean, though, that you can't be real or that you have to play a role so much that you can't be human. I think that's what is really missing in the space is, and people are doing this more and more, right? As people talk about this and share this, but it's like, you see, just as an example, you see a woman who wears certain outfits and those get more likes, or they
yeah,
do something and that gets more likes and more of a engagement. So our brains go, ooh, well, I want to get more engagement. I want more followers. I want more people. So I'm going to do more of that. And
sure.
let the other people's perceptions, what converts better, what produces better, dictate how we show up.
Yeah,
And that, then you're stuck playing that role. And we're seeing this a lot, right? People who are battling with uh, mental health and because they have to play this role, but really how they feel inside is very different,
oh
right?
oh,
The
yeah,
actors that are being put up on pedestals, actors and actresses, but they are maybe scared or fearful to share what they're really going through because how it affects their career, or how people go, you have everything, why would it be hard for you? And it's just, we need to change that.
yeah. I hope it does change because a lot of people. There was a girl, she was in pornography actually. I can't remember her name, but August somebody. And she put something up and she got ridiculed for it and she ended up committing suicide. That happened in 2017. So I was just doing some research on celebrities who actually do that too. They have a hard time with all this social media. So I really hope that it does change for your daughter's sake, when they get to our age. I mean, you are a father of two and a husband. What do you think your father would think of your service and the family man that you are today?
I would like to think that he would be proud. I think he would be. I think he could recognize the person that I am, my way of being, how I show up in the world, and be proud of that.
Yeah.
I think he would love his granddaughters, and yeah, I think he'd be happy with it.
It's been a while, 2006. You still miss him, Randy? You still
Uh,
think about him?
I do. It's funny. You're bringing up a lot of things that have happened literally in the last day. This morning, when I was making my daughter's breakfast, we were talking about my dad, and my daughters asked, "Do you miss him?" Because my wife's grandmother passed away in the last couple of years,
Yeah.
and that was their reference point of how it feels. So they said, "Oh, we really, really miss her, and we were so sad and whatever." But now it sort of feels okay. I'm used to it.
Yeah.
And they said, "Did you feel like that with your dad?" And I said, I was a little bit maybe more sad because this was my father. And I said, it can, there's no one way to feel. I said, for me, I felt sad for a while.
Yeah.
And then you learn to live with it bit by bit by bit, and it changes, as I'm sure you know. So trying to explain the experience of that to a 9 and 8-year-old was interesting. But yeah, I just talked about that this morning.
That's funny. You look a lot like him, you know. I think as you get older, you're looking a lot like him.
That's what people say in my voice. The weirdest thing is I sound more like him. I hear myself talk
So
sometimes,
awesome.
like, oh my gosh, it sounds like my dad.
It's so fun. I know I have my father's face, but as I get older, I'm looking at my mother, the nose, you know, I'm like, wow, it's, you know, I love it so much. They're always with you. You know, grief, as you said, is a very personal experience.
Yeah.
And, you know, we just have to understand that they're always there. The energy is always there. That's what helps me through this whole thing. You know, I wish they were here. And I'm sure you know, your father, to see your beautiful grandchildren, but they're actually inside. Your
Yes.
girls.
Yes.
What do you want your girls to learn in their journey with you teaching them all this?
Hopefully they learn this somewhat through me, but doesn't have to be. What I really want for them is to learn that they matter, that failure is okay, and that they're to learn their faculty, to learn how to stay in tune with themselves, to learn how to ask questions and trust their instinct, and to learn that the way that you treat people and the way that you show up in the world, to me, is success. And I think success can take many, many different forms, and that's okay, right? You could say business success, but we all just talk about success as like, here's the pinnacle of life. What do they do? Who, you know, how much do they make? Do they? And
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, when I look at my daughters and I think that, I mean, sure, I want them to be able to support themselves, and I want them to be able to live a good life, and I want to set them up for that, to make, and I want to set them up for success. But really, at the end of the day, what do I most want for them? I want them to have the tools necessary to navigate the world. If they can understand that they can navigate emotions and work with them and be in an experience, but not be the experience, I think they'll be set up to navigate whatever comes their way and to find fulfillment in what they're doing, fulfillment and purpose, versus chasing what other people, you know, think and say you should do.
Yeah. With your guidance, I'm sure they're going to turn out to be lovely ladies. So thank you. Thank you for all you do, you and your wife. Randy, you help with anxiety and stress as well. So is that right? In your coaching? So you can head over to randyspelling.com to learn how you can work with Randy. His book will be featured in Preferred Health magazine, and I'm honored to review it because I'm a huge fan of him right now and everything. And I watch his Instagram stories and videos. So please head over there if you're looking for motivation. And I read that you like your favorite noise is hearing people laugh. That's one of mine as well. Yeah, that's good.
I do love that.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being here on Making a Difference and making a difference in this world. And you're very valuable. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for making a difference in all that you do as well.
Thank you, sir. Head over to www.randyspelling.com to learn more about his work.
Making a Difference is sponsored by Preferred Health Magazine. Please visit www.preferredhealthmagazine.com today and subscribe.